Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and if you're new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you to all the new subscribers. It really helps me quite a lot. Got to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark to get things going, so let's see what we can achieve this year. But today we're going to see Specialized versus Crankbrothers, and let's see which pump comes out top. And I think you're going to be surprised at the outcome of this. I certainly was. So let's do this thing. So before we actually zoom in on the pumps and give you my opinion on these pumps and what I think of them, obviously, I must state obviously that I bought these pumps myself, and I think that's going without saying, seeing as I've only got 261 subscribers. So I bought these pumps myself. These opinions are my own and obviously not influenced by anybody else. In this video I'm also not going to be pumping up the tires and timing it. I've done that before in the individual review of each of ththese pumps. If you want to have a look at those videos, I'll put a link to those videos in the description below, so please have a look at those. So I've re-pumped the tire at the back here to 18 psi, as opposed to in the actual review of this pump where I pump it to 16 psi. And the reason for that is the Crankbrothers one, I pumped it to 18 psi, so we've got a good estimate of exactly how long these pumps take to actually pump a tire to 18 psi. So let's have a closer look at the pumps. So on the left hand side, need I say it, is the Specialized pump with the logo on there, and on the right hand side is the Crankbrothers one, also with its logo over there. Put them side by side, there's actually not that big a difference. They both have Presta Schrader capabilities. They both come with a frame mount. This comes with a valve cap over here, the Specialized one to protect it from getting dirt and water and that type of stuff in. The Crankbrothers does not come with that. They are both high volume, low pressure, but the advantage of this Crankbrothers is it's got a button at the back here that you can switch between low pressure, high volume, and high pressure, low volume. So in other words, this could be used on a mountain bike and a road bike. No issues there, whereas this can only be used on a mountain bike. The length of the Specialized is 165 millimeters. The length of the Crankbrothers is 177 millimeters. The weight of the Specialized is 100 grams, and the weight of the Crankbrothers is 130 grams. So to pump a tire to 18 psi with a Specialized pump will take 2 minutes 12 seconds, and on the Crankbrothers will take 1 minute 31. And if you look at my review on this, I actually show it takes 1 minute 44, but I have subtracted the time where I disconnected to check the pressure in that, and if you take all of that into account, it comes to 1 minute 31, as opposed to this takes 2 minutes 12. And I think the reasoning behind that is obviously the size of the main cylinder over here on the Crankbrothers is obviously slightly bigger than the Specialized. As you can see there, quite a big difference in size. And another advantage of the actual Crankbrothers is when you switch, let's say you're pumping, because these low pressure high volume pumps are difficult to pump. They are not easy to pump, and when you get going and you start getting up to those high PSIs, anything above 10, 12 psi, it becomes very difficult to pump. Now on the Crankbrothers you can actually switch it over to that high pressure one, which makes it a lot easier to actually pump, but obviously you're introducing a lot less air into the tube at that point, but it actually makes it a lot easier to pump and a lot easier to go. So I think this is also a major advantage of this pump over here. They both have a connection system to the actual valves. This Crankbrothers has the one where you pull up, it attaches, so they are both not screw on top, which I actually prefer, because I've said in the past the screw on top I've had some bad experiences with, where you actually connect, you pump up the tire, and you unscrew it, the actual connector from the valve, and it unscrews the core and all the air comes out again. This connects obviously over here. You turn it, you twist it like that, and it actually tightens on the inside here. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. No, you shouldn't. Oh, it's very, very slight narrowing of that over there. Grips onto the actual valve, and you pump it up together. So both the connection to both of these things is actually superb. The Crankbrothers has more plastic on it, whereas opposed to the Specialized is more aluminium or aluminum, and both the heads over here is a plastic. But other than that, the quality of the pumps, if you had to feel the pumps, I would say the Specialized definitely comes out top. It does feel much more higher quality type product, and I think it's the plastic, too much plastic, let me rather say, on the Crankbrothers that makes it feel a little bit cheaper on the other hand. So guys, in a race, and time is a problem, the Crankbrothers is definitely going to come out tops. 40 seconds quicker than the Specialized pump to actually pump up a tire. And surprisingly, I actually love the Specialized pump, but I don't want that to like skewer my vision here. And I'm unfortunately going to have to say that the Crankbrothers comes out top here, although it does have a slighter cheaper feel to it. The fact that you can switch between high pressure and low pressure, especially when you start getting up above 12 psi, 14 psi, you can switch over. Pumping gets a lot easier because these low pressure, high volume pumps are very, very difficult to pump. You'll see you're really going to work yourself to death, and in a race, I don't know if that's really a feasible option. Like I say, I think those CO2 bombs are definitely still the way to go in a race or something, but maybe a long distance enduro event where you not endurance event where you actually need to go for a long time and you can't carry that number of bombs. This type of pump is definitely an option to carry with you as a backup type of air source, whereas this one's going to take 40 seconds longer. Unfortunately, I'm also pretty surprised at this outcome. The Crankbrothers to me does come out top. So guys, let me know in the comments below what your feelings are about carrying one of these mini pumps as opposed to a CO2 type bomb setup to pump up your tire in a race or any type of endurance event. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.